So hello, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Susan, and I'm one of the mentors in Heather's Holding Space program. And would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Sure, thanks, Susan. I'm Emily, and I'm honored to be stepping in as the mentor in Heather Plett's Holding Space course also. Nice to meet everybody who's watching today.
Yeah, so the intent of this quick video is basically to introduce ourselves to you so that you get used to us. Emily and I will be doing the guardian roles on the calls. And of course, you know Heather Plett and her work. You've been reading her blogs and interacting with her in various ways. And we thought this would be a good opportunity for you to interact with us as well. So we're basically just sending out an invitation for you as new participants in Heather Plett's Holding Space coaching and facilitation program, and extending a warm welcome to you, and also like to give you the chance to meet and greet us. So like if you want to book a session with us, then you can do so with the links that are provided, and it's just a chance to get visiting and get the conversation rolling, and that Emily and I are here as supports to you in your holding space journey, whether you just simply want to visit, or if you have something that you would like to unpack along the way, we are making ourselves available for that. So visiting, I think, is highly prized. For me anyways. We love to talk, don't we?
Exactly.
So, Emily, can I ask you to share our story?
Yeah, sure, because this visiting came about here because Susan and I have been meeting regularly for the past year. We were harmoniously joined up to be course buddies when we first took the Holding Space course starting in January of 2018. And I just love this format, how we get paired up with a peer, and we just clicked right from the beginning. So we spent those 6 months going through the material with the group on calls, but then also one-on-one with each other. So we got in these chats and we learned so much about each other, and we shared our lives. We shared how the work was impacting us personally and professionally. And we were just so glad to have these opportunities to connect. And in the last 6 months, we've been connecting still as friends. And it's just wonderful timing that I'm stepping into being the mentor at the same time that Susan is also in the mentor role. And we get to continue this buddy friendship. And I'm so grateful that we have the opportunity to come together. And that's how Susan and I know each other, is through this work and how it's shaped our lives and brought us together as friends.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing our connection and how we've learned and grown over time. And we're just happy to share in that love and that connection, and opening the doors to you who are joining us for this part of the program. And I guess just for you to get to know us, you can, let's just give each other some questions here. So Emily, I'm just going to ask you, what would you like course participants to know about you?
Thanks, Susan. That's a good question here. Well, everybody, I have grown up mostly in Saskatchewan in Canada, and I'm from a very small town, so I love those small town roots. I love getting to know people genuinely from that shared community feel. And in my personal life, 2 years ago, I separated from my husband of 15 years. And that was such a journey to discovering myself, and such a new place of life. And I found myself just challenged by new things that had never been a concern to me before. So starting having my own home for the first time in my life, and learning how to single parent. We had 2 boys. They were 8 and 10 when we separated, so they're 10 and 12 now. So learning how to co-parent in a harmonious way, learning how to be a single parent myself, to be a single mom. That's been a big journey for me. So I turned to spirituality in that, and kind of reflected on my views of where I was with religion and with God and with finding direction and finding a voice, my voice that I could trust, finding my path in life. And there was a lot of discernment in how do I make decisions, and how do I find my truth and my story. And where do I fit in this world? Who do I want to be in this world? Because my life had just shifted so much. So I had the opportunity to create who I wanted to be in the world. And I identify as an artist, so I love the expression of creativity. And I've had an art studio for years and belong to my art guild, and that's been such a nurturing part of my life. So for the last year and a bit, I was discerning my next plan in life, and my next job and career in life was wanting to open up a retreat center where we could have mindfulness, we could have community coming together, we could have a place where we can all escape that busyness of life and come together at different times for different reasons, and for solitude or for companionship, for direction or for healing, for so many things. So I'm in the process of starting up that business and just got access to the property last week. And it's just so fresh and new and exciting to be in there with my business partner and just starting the beginning of this dream. So that's where I am in my personal life, is just having those seeds that I planted a while ago just beginning to blossom and bloom. And for me, the community feel of being in retreats has always been important. When I look back on my life of when were the most important pivotal moments, when was I in touch with myself? When did a little pathway get started? When did a little seed get planted? I can always trace it back to my art retreats or other retreats that I've been to. And it's when I've taken those moments of solitude to pare away all the busyness of life and get in touch with my soul, get in touch with my own spirit. So I'm so happy to create that space for other people now in my business. So being an entrepreneur is new, and I'm excited to start that. So that's where I'm coming from here at this time of life. Thanks for the question, Susan. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to ask the same then to you. What would you like people to know about you, Susan?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, first of all, I think you'll learn very quickly that I tend to laugh a lot. And sometimes it's to deflect it, but most of the time it's just because I have a good sense of humor. And I like to have a certain lightness. It helps carry a load for me. So that's one thing that you'll learn fairly quickly. And even on this call, like right now, I would like you to know that I'm an Indigenous woman in Canada. I live in Manitoba, Canada, just 2 hours away from Heather, who lives in Winnipeg, and I'm an original Winnipegger. And I would like you to know that I have gone through the deep stuff, a lot of intensity, but as well as the light stuff too. So to give you an idea of some of the things that I have lived through, currently what's on my plate right now is my son who is struggling with addictions. And so I'm learning how to hold space for him as he goes through that, and not getting caught up in rescuing him, and also, showing him love without him trudging all over my boundaries, and the boundaries are for his safety as much as for mine. And so that's a very different kind of love for me. And the holding space work has really helped me with that kind of work. The kinds of things that I have, I've been, I think, married at least 3 times. And as we go through the course, we'll come across the stuff on attachment theory. And so that kind of reflects that difficulty with attaching with a significant other. But however, I'm very happy to tell you that I've resolved a lot of those things, and I'm now very happily with my current partner, Nick. And you might hear me talk about him and speak of him here and there, and how much we have this incredible bond. So that's amazing to me. And I'd like you to know that we have 3 cats, and they might join us on our calls every once in a while. They do tend to like to jump up on the desk and make an appearance for some pets and cuddles. And so the kitty cats are quite a part of my life. And I'm interested in animal communication, as a matter of fact. And that came about through various ways, but mostly through the death of my kitty cats prior. So I adopted some kitty cats who were feline leukemia, and just gave them respite and hospice, and just live as normal a life as we can with them until it was time to let them go. And that was that gave me tremendous learning. And going through, like for instance, one of the toughest things to do is like, how much is too much suffering? Like, when do you intervene, or when do you let go? And so that's very delicate. So, and lots of complexity through there. I would like you to know that I'm hearing this theme in our holding space work of making our dreams come true. So Emily was reflecting on her life right now, where she's got this retreat center and she's embarking on becoming an entrepreneur. And so like that's a dream come true for her. So that's pretty huge. And for me, I created a dream come true by becoming a registered massage therapist and healing kind of work. And also just in the presence of Heather and Heather's work, she's living her dream come true as well, as you might know. So it's really cool that we're all kind of converging together, and we all have our dreams that are coming true. It's quite inspiring, and I'm excited to hear how, what your dreams are coming into this program, and seeing how you evolve over this work, and what dreams you bring, and what longings you bring, and what dreams are possible for you, and what do you see as possible, and that sort of thing. So it's just inspiring to me. So I think that's pretty much it. And I love art. I make paintings, and I'm interested in a lot of things, and I have a deep love for people and for life itself. Yeah. So thank you for asking me that, Emily. Yeah.
That's beautiful, Susan. I was just thinking, I love how you shared that one of the themes that you hear coming up in the holding space work is about how bringing our dreams true. I'd like to share that one of the themes I hear in the holding space work is trusting our nudges, trusting our internal spirits, trusting our internal voice in the different ways that manifests for us. And Heather uses the metaphor of the caterpillar turning into the butterfly, and we'll get into this in our coursework about the liminal space and when our imaginal cells are taking over. And there's been a lot of discussion in the intimate conversations I've had about leaning into our spiritual side, and not in a way that's shaped by mainstream religion, but more in a way that's shaped by how you interpret energies, or how you interpret source, or how you interpret the divine. And a lot of us have a lot of curiosities about that, and it's hard things to put into words. It's something that's easier to be felt than to be expressed. So I'd like to share that I'm a Reiki practitioner, so it helps inform my sense of how I discern things. And it's nice to have conversations with like-minded people when that comes up. So just wanted to put that out there, that I'm open to any kind of understanding of how you see creation, or if you don't, but whatever your soul nudges are, to promote what you feel called for and how you feel your spirit speaks to you is completely right for you to bring to our circles and to share as you're willing, as you would, just like to share. Or of course it's private if you would rather keep it private too. And that's a lot of conversations I have where we're all a little curious about things like that. So I'll just put that into center as well, where we can all share that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. So in case you're not familiar with that language, Emily, just use like putting that into center, that language. Basically, we're in a circle right now, like a virtual circle. And so whatever we share, there's a virtual center. So we're putting that's what she's referring to, is putting that in the center. So you'll get familiar with that language as we go, and start hearing yourself use that language outside of the
funnest part, I think, is seeing how all these little terminologies they become part of our vocabulary, and how it becomes part of our life, where we don't just learn this, just in theory that it's kind of good to know. We can put it into practice, and that everything that I've learned in the holding space work has applications to me being a parent and being co-parenting with my ex-partner and being a friend, being a professional person. It's just so wonderful how it lands in so many areas of life, and the terminology is easy to understand and start to use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I use the holding space tools every day and almost all the time in my work.
I think we're big holding space nerds. You and I can talk about it all day.
So yeah, I would just like to ask one more question. And again, this is for you as an opportunity to get to know Emily and I, since we'll be journeying together for a while. Emily, I'd like to ask you what brought you to Heather Plett's work and the Holding Space program. Yeah.
Thanks, Susan. I've been following Heather for years. I can't even put a label on it. I think it's about 6 maybe or 7, just when she was starting her independent work. And my artist friend put me in touch with Heather to say, I follow this lady's blog, you should read it. And I just connected just instantly with Heather's fresh style of writing. And it was the answer I needed in my life when I was seeking direction. I was in the end of my marriage when it wasn't healthy, and then I wasn't feeling like myself. So I needed like a next step and some direction to go towards. So I was just really drawn to what Heather offered over those beginning years of her career with her independent work. We had Heather be a facilitator for our art retreat, so I did get to meet her in person years ago, and it was just great to cement that friendship and respect for her, and enjoyed some of her online offerings in the meantime. I took my Circle Way practicum training with Heather a couple years ago, and again, we were in such a warm community together with those people, and that really solidified for me how important I feel the Circle Way is, or holding conversation in circle and leadership with a circular model is. So I love that it gave me the tools to put that into practice in my work then, and to commit to putting it into practice in my work now. So as much as I learned about things from Heather in the past 5 years, what I've learned since in the Holding Space program has cemented and grown and solidified and provided so much more inspiration and depth for the concepts that I loosely knew before, and now I just feel so much better having gone through the Holding Space program intensely in this nice 6-month course that Heather has for us now. So I guess I was drawn to it. It felt like it clicked with me. It was the next answer that I needed for not even knowing where I was growing into, but it just felt right all the way along, just resonating with Heather's writing and her offerings. So something that speaks to my heart that I just connect with, and I'm so glad of wanting to share this with other people, that if the whole world could also know the concepts of holding space and practice the concepts, what a beautiful world it would be. And it's just my honor to learn more for myself, to be that person with my friends and family and coworkers, and to help other people learn the same tools.
That's beautiful. What a journey.
Thanks. Yeah, it's nice. And Susan, what brought you to the work of holding space?
Thank you. In Canada, we have I guess a national magazine called Maclean's Magazine, and there was an article that was on the front page, and it was about, sad to say, but Winnipeg is the most racist city in the country. And I read this article, and the most interesting and most revolutionary response to that heavy labeling was when I read in the article, Heather's name came up, and Heather and a journalist by the name of Rosanna Deerchild, they decided to be proactive, and they gathered the community together, anybody in Winnipeg who wanted to have a conversation about what does it feel like to, have that label on their city. And I went, oh my word, I have to know who this person is. Like, I knew Rosanna because of her poetry, her work as an Indigenous journalist, and I know her personally, and yeah, I love Rosanna, but I didn't know Heather at that time, and I went, oh my word, I need to know who Heather Plett is. So I did a search, I found her website and read her blogs, subscribed to her blogs, and how I resonated with it was like, I'm kind of a tough cookie. Like, I don't, like, at that time, like, I didn't trust as much outwardly as I do now. I'm a very, I think I'm a very trusting and loving person. Come a long way from those times, but at the time, like, Heather's words just it cut through. She really gave me the sense that she was a trustworthy person. And after having learned of her, just having a friendship with her in this past while, it's that her trust, it's my trust in her is well founded. She's certainly done her work, and so that's how I came into her work. I did a writing workshop with her. And then I was really called to do her coaching and facilitation program. And so I was able to make it work for that, like, last year. So I joined in then. And I love it that she's so, like, she really trusts you to hear your own path. And she does her best to get out of the way of that and honor your own path. And so that's again, I'm going to use that word revolutionary, because I don't know anybody else who does that in quite the same way. What I see in other teachers, leaders, writers is they create a dependence. And sometimes they can get a little salesy for my taste. And Heather just doesn't seem to have those, like, yes, she does her marketing, but it doesn't feel like marketing. It always feels like she's in her heart. She's very heart-centered and always in her integrity, and never wants to push or manipulate or anything like that. If you're called to her work, then you're called to her work, and that's all there is to it. Mm-hmm. So that's how I came to Heather's work, and how much I love it.
Definitely. Yeah. You know, when it feels good and it feels right and you click with it, it's just so great to honor that, and then see where that path goes, and see where that learning can take you, and see where those relationships, where they can bloom and blossom. So that's where we're here on our journey. And we're so glad that you have also signed up to be on this journey too, whether it's just for some of the modules or all of them. We are just honored to have you journeying with us. We know that life is just so many chapters opening and closing, and we're honored to be beside those that are going to travel with us on this path. Mm-hmm. So yeah. We could talk all day, and Susan and I love our work and our relationship with Heather, and we also love to get to know you and get to know anyone else who resonates with this work. So if you want to have a conversation just like we're doing right now, where we talk about, you know, personally, and, you know, how the work can impact our life, or how, if you have questions, if you have struggles, if you want to tell us why you're brought to this work, if you want to just say, this is where I live and this is what I'm curious about, or anything that's on your heart and mind, you can have a conversation just like this with us anytime. Our scheduling links are on the CourseCraft dashboard main page area. There's just a few sub categories there, so you can follow the links to book a session with us. So I hope that you take advantage of that if you have that time. And if not, we will be meeting you, if we haven't already met you by the time you're watching this, on one of our calls. We are excited to meet you. We're filming this just on the last days of December and getting ready to launch this new program. So it'll be so wonderful to connect in January and see where that journey takes us.
Yeah, great. So looking forward to getting to know you and what's brought you to this work. And just to have a good visit. My mom, she's 80. Emily, can you believe my mom is 84? Yeah. Oh my gosh, she's a trooper, that one. But one of the teachings that she gives me is that she says that she kind of feels that the art of visiting has been a bit neglected, and so I kind of feel like this opportunity to meet and greet is reviving that that lost art, and also the fact that we're living in probably the most loneliest times, where we feel kind of lonely and isolated, and yeah, so it's good to address that, or just visit, just come and visit. So looking forward to visiting with all of you, or some of you, or if you feel called to do so. All right. So
Thanks.
shall we end our session? Do you have a bell, or?
I definitely do. I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. We'll just end our conversation with a lovely bell here. Thank you, Emily. Thank you. Talk soon.
Bye, Susan. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.